Yeah, back again. So we're picking up from where we left off, which is this insert ribbon, insert tab, and we explored all the ribbons here. So going forward, we might not explore in detail. We might not explore in detail all the ribbons, um, all the options we have in each tab. Now, some of the options we have here, some of the features, the functions, whatever you call them, they are also in the other tab, right? So as we go on, we might find some of the things we have seen here already in the other tab. Okay, so I might not go in detail, not necessarily because of that, but um, I'm sure Excel brought the major things or the most common things here, right? Of course, not everything we need is here. So going forward, I'll just for the rest of the tab, I'll just pick. Okay, I think this is commonly used or frequently used or something I want to use. We'll just mention it for others. We'll just skip over. I just say something about them, then we can explore later, or sometime later if there's a request for it, then a video can be made on that. Okay, so let's jump into it without wasting time. And yes, as usual, if I'm too fast, do well to watch the video over and over again. You can use the playback speed feature in YouTube to slow down a bit if that works for you. Don't forget to take notes or follow along or code along as you please, right? Whatever works for you. Okay, did I say code along? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right. So the next one, the draw. I'll skip this. Feel free to explore, do whatever you want to do with this. Page layout. Okay. So this section is where you can say you're working for in your company where you're working, or you want to you're freelance for a project, right? You're contracted. A project was contracted to you, and the company probably has their brand identity, colors, fonts, and all of that. So you can set that to avoid getting the Excel default colors, fonts, and all of that. You can set that from this section, okay, so that you know what you get as you move on. Okay, so it says current is office, heading is apples display, body. You can see all of those things and you can change them, right? You can change all of those things from here. So margin, orientation, print area. So let's explore print area. Say for example, I want to send this out, and the person who is getting this data is not meant, so is not authorized to see this, right? Let me just title this to, let me change this to say salary, since it seems like a payroll data. So salary, okay. So the person is not authorized to see this and want to print this, want to export this as PDF or want to print it out. What do we do? So we can make sure that only this place gets printed, right? We can make sure that only this place gets printed. So how do we do that? You highlight it, right? Then you come to print area, then you click on set print area, okay? Click on set print area, and boom, if I click out, you can see that there's a border around it. You can notice, if you notice the border, right? So now if I do a control P for print, you can see that this is the only thing that is included. It excluded the figures, salaries of those people, which is very good, right? You have to be conscious with who you're getting the data with, what they're authorized to see, and all of that, right? So we have been able to successfully exclude the salary from the reports we want to send out. So let's clear this out and test it again. We'll come back here and I'll say clear print area. Now it's gone. Okay. So if I do Control P now, it will capture the entire sheet. You can see that it captures the entire sheet, even our home button and all of that. So this is one thing to pay attention to. You don't know when that might come in handy. Okay. All right. So breaks, I'll skip background. That's just you can add a picture to your background. You might have seen it in some say Excel dashboard where they use images for the background and all of that. Feel free to do that. You have the printouts, adjust the width, height, scale, and all of that. Now let's come to the sheet options. One thing you can do with the sheet options is that you can uncheck the grid lines, and then you have this nice blank. Well, depends on how you've been working so far. You might not consider this nice. Okay, so we can see it's all clean up, no lines, no grid lines, and all that. But I'll keep it for now. So you see prints, keep this, then take it back. You have this as well, the heading. You can uncheck the heading, right? These are the headings, the column title and the row numbers. If I do that, see they disappear. We can also take the formula bar out. We'll get that in view. So now this under the arrange section, on the arrange group of options, they are quite powerful, they're quite useful. They're very useful when you have shapes in your sheets. Say you're building a dashboard or you're bringing a shape, and then automatically the latest one you bring stays on the top, right? The latest one you bring stays on the top. So let me show you that quickly. So I come insert, I pick a shape, or just draw something. I put this here, I go to insert again, then I bring in another shape. Let's say this, put this here. So you can see that this is on top of this, obviously, right? Let me change it to black and bring in another one. Insert shapes again and bring this overall shape. Then I'll do this right there. Okay, change it to white. Now you can see that the latest one I bring stays on top. What if I want to bring this forward? Right? How do I do that? So you can right click, and you see the option for bring front, click more option and bring front. So those are what you also have up here. Now, because we have the shape already, it's giving us a dedicated contextual ribbon, just as I mentioned, another option, right? Based on the shape, if we click out, the shape format disappears because we're inside the table. That's why we're seeing table design. If I click out completely, now that is gone as well, right? Okay, so let's come back here. I'll take this out, take this out, take this out. So we are on the page layout. So we can use this to send something backward, forward, automatically align. This is also quite good. Uh, Sometimes beginners struggle with arranging charts on the dashboard, trying to bring this to the side, trying to align and all of that. So this makes it easier for you, okay? It can easily align things for you. Just select what you want to align, automatically adjust them for you. You can group, you can rotate. They're quite good features, okay? So when there's a use case for them, they might actually demonstrate it. But that's pretty much what they do. Feel free to explore them, bring in charts, shapes, and all of that. Align them, group them. Now, grouping is how you move them together as a single element. Okay. So yeah, that's what we have on the page layouts. Like I said, the ones that are not too long. I mean the ribbon that are not too long. I'll crash them into one, right? I'll crash them into one. So page layouts, I've just done the overview like that. So let's look at formulas. Just do the overview like that as well. So here you can insert a function. We've seen this on the home, right? Directly from here. It's the same thing. You can see that the symbol is the same and give it quick description. If you're not sure what you want to use, and you click on go, it shows you all the formulas you can use for it. So this is auto sum. We saw it. You see the hot plus. We saw that on the home. I said it's here. This is it right here. Okay. So I'll be going back and forth anyway. So this has the recently used functions will appear here. Okay. And all of these are functions, right? Financial functions, logical functions, textual functions, date time functions. And I want to explore them, by hovering on them, they give you a description of what they can do. I remember I mentioned this probably in the first video, that the way softwares are developed these days, they're developed in such a way that even if you're not so tech savvy, or you've not used the device before, you use things you can relate to it. And on top of that are screen tips. These are screen tips, right? These are screen tips. So you can see them. Oh, this is what this does. It returns the number of days between two dates based on a 360-day year, 12, that's 30-day month calendar, right? So you should understand how this works and look at this as well. It tells you what it does, so you can explore them. You see, so easy, so easy. It gives you that flexibility. You can learn on your own, right? Of course, there might be a little bit struggle, like okay, I still don't know what it means and all of that, but yeah, you can still feel free to explore. Some of this will still be covered in future, in future videos, okay? But this is where you can go because we cannot cover everything. Everything cannot be covered. I mean, we have way more than 250 Excel functions. So yeah, and not everything is used day to day. It depends on the field you're working. You use more in some fields, you use more in some fields, and all of that. And some are just general use, like general purpose kind of functions. So those are what we'll likely cover in future videos. Okay. So yeah, we have the maths, lookup functions, math functions. I know the common lookup functions you probably know is HLOOKUP, VLOOKUP, um, index match, and XLOOKUP. But yeah, we have way more. You can feel free to go through them. Okay. Yeah, and if you want more functions, you can see way. There's a lot Excel can do for us. So here is where you find, remember we have some named stuff here, so you can find them here. You can change the name, you can delete, do all of that from here. Here is how you can, now when you're writing, when you're working with large formulas, right, like every sheet formula, right, and you have formula this depending on this and this depending on this, and there are a lot of dependencies as well. For example, say this one is probably depending on something here, and this is probably depending on, say, uh, this and this is probably depending on something else, right? So trying to debug the formula for me might not be as straightforward, so you might need something that can, oh, link it, okay, this is coming from here and from here and from here. So you can do all of that, yeah. Okay, so I'll skip the rest. Feel free to explore them. Come to data. Okay, so data is one important tab to us as well. They're all important, okay, but this is another key one where we can, because for us to do anything, we need data to work with, right? So this is where we get some data options. Now let's just jump into it. The left, right, top left, yeah, this is left, right? Yeah, the top left where we have get and transform data. I think Power Query should be from Excel 2013. Yeah, I think Excel 2013. Uh, Earlier versions do not have get and transform data. I think it's just get data, right? So you don't have the Power Query feature in there. Okay, so you don't have the Power Query feature in there. And some versions I've seen as well. I think 2013 as well. You need to use this get data option, right, from text slash says, for example. If you use this, it's going to work as a text split, right? That's how it's going to work. It's going to work as a text split where you're doing text to column, as if there was no Power Query in there, right? If you use it from here for earlier versions as well, I think 2013 or so. But when you use this, even in that particular version, then it gives you the proper um, Power Query option, right? So you can, so it depends on the version of Excel you're using. Okay, just check a version, know what works for you. If you really need Power Query and you're not using anything from 2010 above, right? That's from 2013, 16, 19, all the way to the recent one. Okay, or you're using 365, right? So get data will always work for you, right? For Power Query, we're good to go. This as well gets you into Power Query because you can see it says get and transform data, right? So yeah, this is how we connect data sources. So let's just click on get data. Now you can see the list of options. You can connect from files, sometimes called flat files because they are not, as it were, connected to the source. Okay. We have database, we have from Azure, we have from Power Platform, is Microsoft. Online services, different online services, Salesforce, 365 Dynamics. You can see from other sources as well. You can connect to web data, and you can combine queries, do all of those things from here. All right. So this is where you can bring in data, and this is where you get into Power Query. Like I said, this is just Excel interface. We are exploring, we're not using them as it were, just explaining where you can get what you can do with this, and all of that. Okay. So if you connect to an external data source, this is somewhere you can always get back into Power Query to see what is going on. And here you can refresh your data to get the latest updates. Say, for example, you connected to data yesterday and it's a constantly updated source. So today you might want to refresh to be sure you are pulling or you have the latest data from the source. Okay. Now some sort options there, we've already seen them on the home. And here you see we have filter, you can clear, reapply, and we have advanced filtering option here, which is very nice. When we need them, we'll explore them as well. So text to column, we're gonna split. Okay, let's see what we can do with that quickly. So I'll just add another column here, and then call this. So let's add one more. So we'll call this first name. Let's say first name, then say last name. Yeah. Okay. So last name. Now we can do a text to column split. Now, there's most times, or should I say sometimes, safe to say sometimes, it is not always a one-way thing. It's not always a one-size-fits-all. It's not always a one approach thing to some things that are done. I can do it this way, doesn't mean there are no other ways to do it. Okay, for example, what I'm about to do with text to column, you can use flash fill, some other method to get it done. You can use functions to get it done. Okay. So, but in this case, we want to explore text to column. We want to see how that works, right? We want to see how text to column works. So, yeah, I'll just come here. I'll highlight this first because this is what I want to split. Okay. Then I'll click on text to column. But before I click on it, your data will always be delimited. So let's speak of delimiters, right? Pay attention to this. What is delimiter? In simple English, delimiter is what is separating individual word. I use the word word. Yeah, I know it sounds somehow. Let me type it. I used the word word. Yeah, you got that right. So what separates individual words? So though in the world of data, in the world of data, they are called values. So what separates our values? Because individual word is a value, okay? So but in simple English, individual word, right? In this case, this is Angelina Jolie. What is separating the two words? A space, right? Exactly, you got it. So John is a word, Doe is another word. John is a value, first name. Doe is another value, right? What is separating them? That is space. So that is the delimiter. Let's pay attention here. In this case, Angelina Jolie is a word, is a single value, right? Because there's no space, there's nothing between them, there's no full stop. So it is a single value in this case. So the delimiter here is what? The at symbol. We also have another delimiter here, which is what? The full stop. So email can be another value on its own. Email.com can be another value on its own, no doubt, yes. Email can be another value on its own. Com can be another value on its own. You get the idea, right? So that is what delimiters are, what separates your value. We have CSV, TSV, different delimiters out there. And we'll see them once we click on text to column. So let's jump back to text to column. I will highlight this text to column. I can see it says delimited. Of course, we have the fixed width option, but we'll go with delimited. It says such, I says characters such as commas or tabs separate each field. Now, in this case, because they will be splitted into another column, so there will be a single column. So columns are also referred to as fields. That's why you see the word field here. Okay, what does that mean? Let me take that slowly. It says characters such as commas or tabs separate each field. So because Angelina will come into first name, that is a column on its own. That's a field on its own. So the value there is now the field is in this field, right? So what separates the two field there? That space, right? So Angelina comes here, Jolie comes here. Do you get that? Good. Okay. Like I said, the comment section is there. So use it effectively, ask questions, make comments, and do all the necessary things. Okay. So I'll just click on next. Delimited is checked. That's what we want. Okay, we want to work with delimiters. We'll click on next. You can see some common delimiters. Tab, which is always automatically checked. Whether you uncheck it or not, it does not really matter. Okay, so I'll leave it checked. So no, it does not actually matter, right? And then we have semicolon. It could be a comma. It could be space. It could be no. Now it could be others, right? Other things apart from this. So if it's others, we click on others and then we type in the symbol here. So if it's at symbol, we'll type it here. Okay. So let me take that out because it's not at symbol. That's why it didn't split. Now pay attention to this preview pane. To this preview pane here. Immediately I check space, right? You will see that they will be splitted visually in the preview so that you see how it looks like, right? That's why it's a preview. You see how it splits them up. So I'll check space now. I can see, boom, it intelligently understands that, oh, after the space, take whatever is next into another column, right? Good. So take it into another column and now click on next. Yeah, this is where sometimes it could go wrong, okay? So if you hit finish, what it's going to do is that it's going to keep, you can see, it's going to keep Angelina, John, the first name, is going to keep them in this name column. But we don't want this to be altered at all. We want this full name stay here. And we also want, and bring this down, we want the first name here and then the last name here. So we have to select the destination. See, we have to, because by default it's starting from A2. So it's saying the first name will stay here, then others will split into the next column, which will be from B2. But that's not what we want. So click on this and then we'll highlight this way. Now, okay, we want it to split here. We're saying B2 to C8, right? And now hit enter. Okay, now I hit enter and I can click on finish. And boom, you can see it splits properly for me. And I have this right here. That's one good feature for text to column. All right. So I believe we did flash fill when we combined this email, right? Yeah, we did that. So flash fill is also here. Yeah, one more important thing that we want to consider here, which is under this data tool, they are all important options, okay? All important options, but one common one that I want to consider here is the data validation tool. Okay, so let me close that first. Let me create a new column. Then I will say, let's say gender. Okay. So yeah, we want the users or whoever is entering the data to be able, or let's do something. Let's do it this way. Let me do, okay, I'll take this out, put it at the end. Come here, all right. So let's do manager here. Manager. Okay. So now, because this is in a table, you can see that it automatically included it. It is smart enough. That's one feature of the table, right? It automatically included it in the range that we have before. So let's say we have just four managers, right? Four managers. And we don't want someone to accidentally put in another manager that does not exist in the company, or probably from typo or in all of those things. We want to make sure we want to reduce error, right? We want to validate these cells. We can highlight this, then come to data validation. By default, naturally, right? All Excel cells can take any value. It says allow any value. That's why you can type in anything, whatever it is you want, even a language you don't understand or nobody understands, you can type it in there, right? It doesn't matter. It's going to take anything. However, we don't want that anymore. Say for example, it's a score sheet and you know that the maximum score is supposed to be 100, minimum is supposed to be 0. I don't want anyone to accidentally put in 101 or 150 or anything greater than 100, or accidentally put a value lesser than 0, right? Say minus something. We can validate that, okay? And this is how we do it. We highlight the cells we want to validate. If it's the entire column, just select the entire column, okay? And then here where it says allow any value, no, we don't want any value. So you click on the drop down, you can see different options there. We also have custom value where you can do more with the validation. But here I want to say a list, okay? I want to say a list. Now by default, it's possible I have a sheet where all the managers are. So we'll simulate both scenarios, or probably I just know them offhand. I just want to type them. That's also allowed. So to simulate that, I will close this first. Then we'll add a new sheet. Let's say managers. There's a manager. So let me put it that way. So I'll say ID, region. Okay, ID name, then region. Okay, then region. Okay, then just put this in a table. Control T. Yeah, my table has headers because those are headers. All right, so it's giving us this nice view. I like this table design. Let's take this out. Okay, I want the blue, nice blue top. Yeah, you can use this gray. Okay, right. So let me increase my zoom level. Put that on 200 for you. Okay, good. So yeah, we say let's say uh, uh, ME101, ME MEMGS 342 or 352, MG W, say 103, and then let's just keep it at this three for now. So say for cow, okay, so just random people. I mean, they exist. There's probably someone on here who is for cow, but you get what I mean. So okay, George Bill, and then Brady Ford. Okay, so yeah, so this will be the East region. Let's say this is South, and let's say this is West. Okay, so they only cover these regions, right? Now, these are the names of the managers, right? These are the names of the managers, and we don't want someone else to type in something else in here. Okay, so what I can do is we'll highlight this place, go to data, data validation, and you say a list, right? So let's do it the first way. For cow, I'm not sure I remember all their names. Um, okay, let's do the other option first so that I can see the names, and then so click on this again in the source. Instead of typing them out, you click on the arrow, you go to managers, okay, Paul Cow, George Bill, and Bradley Ford. Then you highlight this way. By default, Excel locks those cells for us. Of course, we're still going to talk about cell referencing. So Excel locks those cells for us. That means it doesn't go beyond this. But if we know that they might still add more to the list, so then we can keep it open. Okay, I'll select the entire column. I'll hit enter now, and then I hit enter again. Now let's say I accidentally type John Doe as a manager. Oops, it says this value doesn't match the data validation restriction defined for this. Retry as long as it's not going to allow me. Okay, so what I can do is I have to change it completely to put what it can take, and you can see it's giving us this nice little drop down and saying, oh, is this person you're trying to type in? And yes, or car, and it takes it. So let's say Bradley Ford. See, I'm going to type this completely, it takes it. But even if I do Bradley Fords, for example, it's not going to take that. Okay, you get the idea now. Good. Now, instead of typing that way, you can also use this drop down button here to see all the list of managers, right? I use it see all the list of managers, so you can select from there. George Bill, Carl, Bradley Ford, Bradley Ford. Okay, yeah, Bradley is everywhere. Okay, so this is what we have, and that's how to validate the cell. Like I said, you can do way uh, more than this. You can do much more with data validation. Very nice thing to use. Okay, I'll highlight this again here, quick one. Show you, you see list. So we could have typed them out here as well. Okay, just type them here, and then you separate them with a comma, right? So once you separate them with a comma, you click OK. They also appear here just this way. All right. So yes, that's what we'll be covering. There are other important things to cover here, but when the use case come back to this place. I don't want this to be too long, and I want to cover the rest of the ribbon so we can move on to something else. The review, you can see proofing, proofreading, spelling, etc. You can do that there. And translate, and see accessibility, and add comments, and yet protect. This is one thing I want to consider. And this is where you can protect your sheets. Say you want to share your reports, and you don't want them moving things around. Say you have shapes, you have charts, you don't want them moving things around, or you don't want them to be able to add a new sheet at all, right? You don't want them to alter the structure of your table, of your work, right? You can protect your sheet in here. So you see, and give them access to do, okay, maybe they can only do this, they can only do this, they can only do this, right? And give them all the options. But if you don't want them to do anything, you can just take everything out that way. So they won't be able to do anything at all, right? And you can add a password optionally, right? So always needed. We can do that. If you're sending it out, you might want to consider doing that. Okay, so cancel. So you can protect your workbook as well. It says when you protect your workbook, I click on structure. Once I click on OK, I come here. See, now I cannot add a new sheet. I cannot add a new sheet. I can't delete. I can't hide. I can't do all of that. Right. Let me take it out. If I click here now, I can add a new sheet. Right. So delete. So this is for the entire workbook structure. This is for individual sheets. You don't want them to be able to click on something and all of that. So you explore that from here. You can give a certain ranges, right? Okay, this place from here to here, you can do this, you can do that. You see, very, very nice. So we have all of those features in Excel here. So let's go to view. I'll not talk much about this, just two major things from here. You can see your formula bar, you can uncheck grid lines, uncheck headers, remove everything, right? Say you want to present a dashboard, that's a nice way to do it. You can take out every other thing, and then your dashboard is nicely presented. You hide your formula bar, the ribbon as well, which is good. You can zoom in, zoom out, but yeah, you can zoom on a selection. See, that's nice. You can highlight, then zoom in on that particular selection. Or you see your zoom button here as well. You can keep to that. You can add a new window, arrange stuff. So see all of those things are very nice. Okay, like I said, I'll be natural. I'm a natural, right? So just let me just flow, right? I'm just gonna flow, just do it. There was no rehearsing that okay, I'm gonna do this and then code it. No, all of that was not there. So just flow, just stay natural that way. Okay. All right. So what we want to look at is the free spins. Free spins. Why is it important? Let's say you have a lot of data. Well, you have a lot of data and you're scrolling. You can see and you're scrolling. You want this to stay up here. The headers to stay up here. Now they will stay because they are in a table. This data is in a table, so it will definitely stay. The reason it seems as if it's not staying is because once you scroll out top the range of the data, you can see now, right? Even though everything is not showing, when I click in the range of the data, it displays the name, right? In the range of the data, but now I'm outside that range, so it doesn't show again. So you see, by default it stays as long as I'm in the range of data, which is nice. Okay, let me show you with this. Click here, you can see how nice this came up. Oh, we can know that, okay, these are managers, these are salary. But imagine you scroll down and you're only seeing values, so you cannot tell what the headers are. You have to scroll up again to go and check that, oh, okay, this is department, this is this, right? That is not so nice. So let's stay here and do what we want to do. So since when we have a table, our top row is always freezed, right? What if we want to do it ourselves? Let's just see how it's done, okay? To freeze top row. Now in this case, once I go out of my data range, it's gone. I click on this, come to free spin, and then you click on free stop row, and it's done. You see more like a border around it, right? You can see that border, all the way down, all the way down. So you can see the border there. So if I scroll, so regardless whether I'm in data range or not, it stays. This might not be needed because in our table, for our data range, it stays, which is nice, which is perfect. So, but of course, this is how we do it. It stays forever. It doesn't go anywhere. Okay, it doesn't go anywhere. So I'll take that out, clear, was it on free spin? What if I want to do for a column? You can do freeze first column. So I can easily compare the name with the salary. You see, as I scroll, because this is a column, right? Vertically is a column. I can scroll, I can compare. Oh, okay, this person is in IT. Instead of this large data, I'm scrolling this way, and this name is disappearing. I'm trying to trace my eyes and all of that. Now it's easy to do, right? I can see the department. Okay, this one is in IT HR. I can see the salary. I can see the manager. You see, so that makes it just nice. So these little things just makes everything nice. You want to consider this when you're presenting or when you're sending maybe a work out, you're sharing your work, and you know that okay, so I want to compare this with that, and keep this phrase, okay? They might not necessarily know how to do that, okay? So free spin. What if we want to keep this? Let's say if we hide this for now, so I'll hide this. I'll do alt 0. Okay. Okay, let me just hide that. Just a minute. Okay. Now I just eat that. Um, yeah. So we want to keep this first two, right? We want to keep this first two. I want to keep this first two. So if I scroll, I want the email to stay, or probably let's switch this. How do you switch? The flexibility we have in the table is that You come here, your cursor is very important. I mentioned that in the first video. Now you can see it's showing a four directional arrow, which means you can drag it. That's a draggable icon and drag. Because it differs, see it here, it's the same thing here, drag. I come here and I bring this here, for example, boom, I've switched. Instead of copying and pasting and creating a new column out of that, we don't have to do that in this case. So now I've switched. So I want to keep the two column fixed. So how do I do them? You remember Excel behavior. Let me remind you, when you add a new column, it adds to the left, right. So when you add a new row, it adds it to the top. Okay, so if I want a new column between D and E, I have to click on E. So the same thing is the idea behind freezing the first two columns. I'll click on E and everything before E will freeze. So let's look at that. Come here. Now I'm not using top row or first column again. I'll just say freeze panes. I'll click out. So you can see the border already. So if I scroll, the two stays. Right? Good. If I scroll, the two stays. Let me, okay. So that's smaller. Good. This as well. Good. So it fits the content. So you can see, I can now easily compare the department, the name, and the salary and the manager in just one go like that. So you can do the same thing for free spring. You can do the same thing for the, let's say, first three row. You click on 4 to freeze everything at the top. Free springs. If I scroll now, those first three stays. Do not forget that you click on either the number directly or the alphabet. Do not forget that depending on what you want to freeze, whether it's a column or a row. Okay. Developer tab is something you had yourself, but we're not using it now. Maybe in any video, if there's a need for that, I'll show you how you can get it. But of course, just in case, you get it from options here, and yeah, that's it. All right. So help. This is where you can go online. You have some online communities, show training, community, Excel blog, get feedback. No, there are quite some things you can do. Just feel free to explore it, right? And this brings us to the end of the Excel or of the introduction to Excel interface, right? I believe you've learned something right from the beginning of the video. So don't forget to give it a like, leave a comment, share with friends, and I will see you in the next.